Hello there, everyone. Patricia Hayes here, and I am back with our next installment. I think we're on installment 5 of the video mini series on networking and building professional relationships. I hope you have been having a good time and enjoying the series thus far. You can catch the others on the Facebook page and get caught up. But what we've talked about thus far is all around myths and challenges of networking and how we can overcome those perceived challenges, regardless of what they are, so that you can go ahead and build the relationships that you need to do. And the conversation is being held in 10 minutes or less. That's the goal. And so that's a challenge in and of itself, right? So far we've talked about the happy hour only deal, about how, for those of us who hate happy hours, how to address and be able to make those situations successful. We've talked about not having enough time and how that excuse is not valid when it comes to being able to make a schedule that works for you to build relationships. We've also talked about those folks who are like, I can't because I'm an introvert and that stuff scares me. So we've given some strategies about how an introvert might best approach networking. And then also we've talked about those who think, oh, it's a complete waste of my time. I don't know what you're talking about. Why should I bother doing that? And so we dealt with that in the last installment number 4. So now we are at installment number 5, where we are going to talk about the myth or the challenge of, I don't know how to make relevant connections, so I shouldn't do it. We're going to talk about that. And there's some overlap with other things, but here's the thing. You can do it. That's the first thing to say, all right? You can do it. Sometimes we do that when we don't even realize it or don't even think about it. It's because most of the time when that happens, it's because we are in our comfort zone. So that is one of those things I want you to think about. What is it that you lose yourself in? Who are you with when you are just having a great time? You don't think about it. You can start talking about whatever this particular topic is, or hanging out with these particular group of people. Who are they and what are you talking about? And when you recognize that, that's the mindset I want you to assume when you're getting ready to go do, quote, networking in a situation that you would not otherwise be comfortable, okay? That's really what you're talking about, is doing a mindset shift in order to assume that personality, that mindset that you have when you're at your peak, when you're at your best, and to shift it into this new or a different environment. And that's really the key. And so when you're doing that, most of the times what you're going to look at is a few things. One of them is, what are your interests? What are your hobbies? What are the things you like to do? Because that is really, quite frankly, the easiest place to start when you're talking about deliberately and strategically making connections, building relationships that you can use professionally and personally down the road, and that will last, okay? Because that's really what you're talking about. And so focusing in on your hobbies, your interests. So if you like to ski, if you like to swim, if you like to go to the gym, what are those things? And then start thinking about, well, when I'm at the gym, I'm always talking to this guy here. And, maybe, that's somebody you can end up, having a conversation. Or if you hear a business, idea or something come out, to be able to pursue that further. Same thing. People presume a lot doesn't happen. They never make the connection between business and personal when you're doing something that seems, quote, out of context. But let me tell you, I have discussed many a business idea or situation sitting in the bleachers at a football game, or in between dance recitals. When you start realizing that you are a whole person and that these things continue to integrate and to cross over all the time, that's when you stop trying to, that's when things will seem more natural, quite frankly. And if you stop trying to pigeonhole only these things in the business or only these things in a personal. That's not to say you don't have boundaries. You do have boundaries, but I want you to remain open to other opportunities in unexpected places and times. And most of the time, that's where we don't make those connections. I just had that happen to me again this weekend. So I had received a speaking engagement request, and I was following up on it and doing the proposal and all of that. One of the things I really desperately wanted to know was, where did it come from? But I was waiting for the right time to ask my contact that. Well, I was at a graduation, a family friend's graduation this past weekend, and I had another friend come up to me and ask me some questions about, hey, have you gotten some contact about X? I'm like, how do you know about that? And she was like, came from me. And I was like, oh my gosh, totally never would have seen that coming, did not expect it. But there again was a personal relationship that flipped on the business end, where she ended up recommending me for an opportunity that turned into a business deal. And it's a done deal. I've got the proposal, and I've got the gig. So don't underestimate your relationships, personal or professional, okay? Cannot stress that enough. You have connections already. You're just not using them or looking at them in a way that you could or should in order to achieve new or different goals, all right? Look at the groups that you're a part of. Look at the groups you want to be a part of. When I do my networking workshops, and especially when I'm doing the more in-depth trainings, this is one of the things I do, is I sit down and we go through, and I have you write out every single group that you're a part of, and the ones that you would like to be a part of, because that's when you can more accurately and strategically start to seek out people with those connections or those relationships to help you. You do not need to know every single person out there. All you need to know are the people that are within your circle, and then build off of their connections and relationships. That's a whole other conversation about using building strategic connections as well. Your profession, kind of a no-brainer, right? But that's where you can start. Start right there in your office, in your cubes, or there's some people there you're like, we've never really sat down and had a conversation about X. Initiate that right there in the office where you are, within your professional network that you do have right now. And don't say you don't have one, because we all have one. You just may not be utilizing it. It may not be strong. It may not be consistent, but you have one. And this is how you can start to build it out, which is to pay more attention to it, and then to start developing it. It takes work. It doesn't just happen. It takes work. There are tips that I've used and strategies I've used for years to maintain my network. Whether it's, I still do, handwritten notes. No one does that, but I do. Whether it's sending articles of interest to your colleagues, over the years, ones who you may not have talked to in a while, but you saw something and you're like, oh, that reminds me of so-and-so. Guess what? Use that little, tickle as an opportunity to reach out to them and say, hey, I saw this. It made me think of you. I hope everything is well. Guess what? You have just reestablished a connection. It can be as simple as that. And as I already talked about, utilizing your friends and your community, whether you're volunteering already in the community, your friends and family, all of those types of things. Take a fresh eye to the people and the things around you already, because sometimes we just forget what people do, or people move on and you haven't updated it. I've had that conversation one time when I was going to have coffee with an old friend and colleague of mine, and he was going on. I'm like, hey, I saw this great opportunity. I think maybe you should apply for it. It's something like that. And so I had to kind of say, hey, we haven't talked in a while. That was Patricia 2.0. Let me introduce you to Patricia 3.0. And he was like, oh, I never thought about that. Okay, let me hear what Patricia 3.0 is interested in. And that's really true. I mean, we forget, or we put people in boxes that they may have broken out of. They're doing something different or whatever. That's, again, an opportunity to reconnect and to learn where people are currently and how you can help them, because that's a key thing about networking. It's about building relationships, and relationships are going back and forth. They're not one-sided. If it's one-sided, you got a problem. But you can do that, again, where you are currently. So don't say, I don't know how to make connections. You have connections already. It's a matter of what you're doing with them. How are you developing them and building them out for your ability to achieve your goals and dreams. Okay? That's it. I hope that you found something helpful or useful in those strategies and tips. If you have any comments or questions, please hit me up in the comments below, or you can message me privately. Again, there are some great networking opportunities that are going to be coming up in the next few weeks, and definitely in July, where there's a great workshop training that I will be doing, and I look forward to being able to hopefully see some of you there if you're in the Austin area. All right, questions, don't forget to ask them, or if you need some help in a one-on-one situation, let me know, because we can talk about how to make that happen too. All right, take care, everyone. See you later. Bye.